Hey guys, didn't see you come in. Jim Downs with Co-op Motorworks and Motorhome Rehab Ranch over on Patreon. And we're going to have a little talk today. Energy. So, before we get into that, we've got some questions and things that you ranch hands have sent in. Keith asks, door hinge and frame repair video. Where can I get the door hinge and pins and bushings and stuff? Listen, when I show you things in window rubbers or whatever, we have packages of all the stuff that I give my tech to go do that job, okay? So when you look at a video and you say, yeah, I'd like to do that, well, give us a call and we can send you all the stuff, all the, you know, the sealants and the tape and all the stuff, the right stuff, to do the things that we do, okay? So, you know, keep that in mind. Had another question about trying to be more specific on some of the things that we talk about. It would be wonderful to do that. But understand, these motorhomes, GM was happy to say they designed this for a 14-year lifespan. We're at 45 years. Things are happening that GM never thought about, things we're finding out about. How do we find out about it? Because we looked at it and the floor is bent. Why is that? So you start checking it out. After we talk about what the problem is, sometimes to do it, you've got to see the extent of the damage and what needs to be done. These videos are to try to expose you guys to things, new ideas and concepts and things like that. You want to do it, we want to supply you the materials and also the information. That's why you're a ranch hand. That's why you give me a call and we do it together. I mean, Henry Ford's first car had bicycle tires. Nobody helped him. Found right away he didn't want to have bicycle tires on a car. Brilliant. So that's how you discover things. That's how you learn things. That's how you find out what you want to know. We want to be a open source video database to get you guys into it. To, you know, call it a small introduction to our punch. That's that. All right. So that's what all this is about. All right. And we want your input. We want to have you tell us some things you'd like to talk about. I can't guarantee every time that we're going to be completely specific because sometimes when you get into the deep weeds, you get lost. So that's the kind of stuff you call me. Okay. Don't email. Don't text because I just don't sit there that long. Just call me. Ranch hands, you got my cell phone. Don't call me about gas prices in Topeka at 2 a.m. But I'm here to help you. All right. One of the things you never do on a video, if you watch videos on the internet, they never talk about the date they do a video, do they? Because they want to keep it fresh, and I totally agree. But this is a red letter day, all right? I want to let you guys, everybody has a GMC, should mark down December 1st, 2021. It's today. Moog. What is it? What is it, Daddy? Moog, during COVID, stopped producing our beloved lower ball joints, okay? They've been out now for 6 months, 8 months. Now think about that. You want to restore a motorhome and you can't get a lower ball joint. I mean, you know, it's like you put pants on, you can't get a belt, you know. So this has been a real problem for a long time here. Well, I found out yesterday, and thank you, Jim Kanemata at Applied GMC. He swallowed deep and he wrote an order for a big pile of these so we could convince an aftermarket manufacturer with smaller quantities to produce these for us. They saw the need, they saw the market, they produced them, and Jim came through. There are ball joints available now. Applied has them. Tell him thank you when you call, okay? All right, December 1st, 2021. Let's talk about energy. It's one of the things I don't have a whole lot of as I used to, you know. But energy we're going to talk about is what energy are you going to use on the road with your RV, okay? Because, you know, when you run out of energy, the party's over. You got to go home, all right? So there are three basic energy sources that we use in our GMC or most RVs. Now, let's not get into the weeds about all this new stuff, okay? I like to incorporate things that are, sure, cutting edge, but not on that cutting edge that you get burned, okay? There are a lot of new things out right now, lithium battery packs and all this. We are right on the edge of being able to generate electricity, AC electricity, without a generator. We're right on the edge of it. If you want to sacrifice and not have as much energy and have one appliance at a time, you can almost do it right now, okay? But let's not talk about all that. It gets into the weeds and you get smoke coming out your ears. And what we want to talk about is you're going to go on the road with your motorhome and you want to listen to a radio. You want to charge your cell phone. You want to run a laptop. You want to, have the air conditioner working. You want a microwave to work. That's what we're talking about here now. And we're talking about how to do that today. Like I said, technology, they're getting refrigerators now that run on 12 volts, the faucet compressor and all this kind of stuff that really are cutting edge. And we are incorporating some of that. And I'll add a little bit of that. But the real high technology, give it a year. Remember in the bell curve of products, first comes out, one guy has it, everybody wants it, and it's ridiculously expensive. Why? Because he came out with it. Now the other people copy it, more people can buy it, the price comes down, then everybody has it, nobody wants it, and if they don't reinvent it, it goes down, all right? Where are we on the new DC circuits and AC circuits? We're right over here. We're at the beginning of it, so all that stuff's really expensive. If you want to be cost effective, look at newer technologies, but stuff that's been out a little bit, that's tried and true, that the price isn't stupid. Sorry. To me, that's what we're building today, right now. You want to go out on the road and use it. That's what I want. I don't want something that's so complicated and all this kind of stuff that a normal person doesn't want to use it or scared of it. Or, I think somebody's in my motorhome and they want to turn on the air conditioner. I want them to look up at the air conditioner and there's a couple of knobs there, or maybe it's on a remote. You don't have to give them a process on how to turn the air conditioner on. That's crazy. I don't want to do that. I want you, hey, turn the air conditioner on. Okay? All right. Let's talk about DC. DC circuits. In proper DC wiring, most grounds are going to be either a darker color or black, right? Well, in our motorhome, all the black wires in our DC circuits are ground except for the ones that aren't. Yeah. There is a black power wire going to your AV fuel selector switch down under the frame. And if you're not careful, people will ground that. Well, that's a black wire. It's got to be grounded, right? Now ground it, pop the fuse in the fuse box. Okay? So, yes, it's close to DC color codes and things like that, but don't just rely that it's on a DC circuits. Now, DC circuits are different than AC circuits. My brother-in-law is an AC journeyman, and he worked with me for a little while, and we had a dickens of a time to get him into DC circuits. Same thing, I had a problem. I was trained in DC, and I found out that my garage had been wired for 30 years backwards. I wired it. In AC, black is your hot. In DC, black is ground. Don't try to explain that. It is, okay? So, DC circuits. A lot of the new cars that are running on battery power and all that, the main appliances run on high voltage, like 400 volts. So why is that? Because as your voltage increases, current requirement decreases. as your voltage goes down, like in the old days, a 6-volt car, man, it would burn wires up and all that all the time. We went to 12 volts to stop that. Tractor trailers now are 24 and 48 volts. And like I say, these new electric cars that have air conditioners, they're running like 400 volts, okay? So DC and AC, to be honest with you, what's your voltage will tell you what load you can, how much energy it will run. Well, all that kind of stuff, fine. We're at 12 volts, okay? We're 12 volts. Your engine electrical system runs on 12 volts. All your lights and stuff, you've got a DC circuit in your living area, it's all 12 volts, okay? 12 volts for what we want to do works just fine. And now with the advent of the new LED lights and all that, current drops down so much that, you know, you've got a little bit extra current to do things like running electric fans and things like that. But DC circuits, and we're going to keep DC circuits in our unit because DC power is easy to generate, it's easy to use, and they have most all appliances except for, well, they even have roof airs now. But microwaves and roof airs are the two things that you need AC for. DC today will do just about everything you want. And 12 volts DC has been for years accepted on the road. So DC, your source, what? Batteries. Lead acid batteries, SLA, sealed lead acid. You know, you've got glass mat batteries, AGMs, you've got, now you got lithium polymer batteries. Whoa. Let's back down that thing a little bit. DC, 12 volts. Let's stay with 12 volts. Let's not get real fancy here, okay? It's real easy to take 110 volts wall power, AC, and to create DC. So a power converter by itself, or a power converter itself, is very efficient, and it will charge your batteries and keep them up, and they're smart and they go up and down. It will do what you need it to do. You say, well, how big of a converter I need? Well, how big is your system? Are you going to go out on BLM property like my son? He spent a little bit of time on his battery system. You know, he's got a lithium 1,000 milliwatt generator through solar and all this kind of stuff. Why? Because he's out in the middle of the desert. He better, he's going to die. We're not doing that with the motorhome. This thing is made to stay on the road. So having a segregated power converter, and if you're going to run, say, 2 deep cycle 12 volt batteries, that gives you, on a switch, that gives you enough energy to do what you want to do in that motorhome. Now, a lot of people want to put golf cart batteries in there. Golf cart batteries have more energy. It's like, wow, look at that. But the problem is you need some kind of a support for that big battery. You need to have 80 or 100 amp charger to push energy into those big golf cart plates. Also, golf carts, gas. In other words, you have to check the water level and the specific gravity on them often. What? Batteries? Why do I have to do? Buy a battery that fits your need. And generally speaking, a golf cart battery or a marine deep cycle battery, okay? They're designed to be discharged slowly and recharged in a normal amount of time, okay? Big 8D and C batteries and all this kind of stuff, and for the most part, golf cart batteries need a higher energy source, okay? So you get a power converter that creates DC for 2 things. One, to run all your lights and all that stuff, and then it's also to charge those batteries, your living area or your engine support. So you need to have the right support for those batteries, okay? So DC, when we're on the road, is real important. Why? Because when you run out of 12 volts, the party's over. The motor won't start, you're on the phone with AAA or whatever, and you need 12 volts. So in your coach, you want to be sure that you have countermeasures, you have backups, you have proper fuses and things like that on your 12 volt system, because that's what you're on the road using, okay? All right, so AC. Why do we need AC on the road? Well, you know, it's the American way. We want to turn on everything simultaneously, right? When we could get away from that, we wouldn't need so much energy. We need on the road one good 20, 25 amp circuit. You could switch on different appliances, but 20, 25 amps is about the highest energy AC need on your RV. So AC, air conditioners today, they have 12 volt, but the most efficient air conditioners right now for RV application on the roof are AC. Also, the new split units that we're starting to talk about, you see in coaches, those are also AC. Very efficient way to create AC, air conditioning is with AC. Now, how do you create AC? Traditionally, it's with a generator. You get a generator with a little motor and it fires that thing up and it creates AC. That's another motor. That's another maintenance issue. It's another thing that we've all had to do. You know, the ONAN, right? ONAN, it's an ONAN, you know. You got to have it. I mean, you know, when your wife says, you're driving along the road and she says, man, I'm hot. I know what you want it to mean. But it means that generator had better work because that air conditioner had better come on, right? So if we're relying on AC, we need to have a reliable AC source, okay? Now, if you're willing to run one circuit at a time, you can do that with a Honda EU 2000. Put it on the back bumper, booyah, you're done, okay? If you want to have more you want a microwave, you can run a microwave with an EU 2000, but not a roof air and a microwave. See what I mean? So if you're willing to give up that, we don't need a 6,000 watt generator. Our 6,000 watt generator is put in there the American way. We can turn on everything simultaneously. We can have the air conditioner blowing on us. We got a hair dryer drying our hair, and when the microwave's on. 6,000 watts will do that. That's why that thing's full of 6,000 watts. You may want to think about getting something a little smaller. ONAN makes I think it's a 2.8, which is a nice single circuit. Say, well, what does it last? Listen, man, nothing today's made to last. Things are not made to service. You do the best you can, use it within the parameters it's being made, don't get fancy with it, and it'll last until it stops. And usually now, today, it sucks, but when it stops, you pitch it and you get another one. You know, you just can't fight it. I mean, that's the way it is now, okay? I've tried to fight it. Doesn't work. So in AC, where there's so many new advancements and types of generators and things going on, right now we still need to have a generator. You can downsize it if you want and use the technology of these new generators to run your stuff. I would tell you within 2 or 3 years, with our downsized 26-foot motorhome and the energy needs that we'll have on AC, that they will have solid state complements of batteries and inverters and chargers and what have you. We'll be on the road in a couple of years at a normal price and without a generator. It's a wonderful thing. You don't have to have that troll sitting down under the bridge waiting to break for you. Okay? So AC is going along pretty well. All right? LP. Well, let me back up AC. Remember I told you that all of the DC circuits, black is ground except for the ones that aren't, because that's the way they didn't worry about it. On AC, okay, you want to go through your circuit. Remember, this thing's 45 years old. Listen, I have a 100-year-old house, and one of my breakers went out. I went to the hardware store. They said, no, we don't carry those anymore. I had to go to a specialty store. I heard the guy on the phone talking to him and says, you have one of those breakers in your hand? Ugh, not good. So we had to change the whole breaker panel. Why? Because I could not get any other parts that would fit in my breaker panel at the house. You want to check and see what you have. If you get in and you find that it's hard, the breaker panel you have, you can't get good breakers because they're 45 years old. It wouldn't hurt at all to replace them all. If you can't get the breakers, Go to Home Depot or Lowe's or local place and buy a new breaker panel and wire it in. It ain't no big deal. Now you can replace the breakers. Everything's updated. You've checked the wires. You know, make sure your AC system is ready for what you're going to be doing with it. Okay. All right. LP. Propane. Propane creates 93,000 BTU per gallon. Highest energy source you can carry. Okay. And for years people go, yeah, that stuff is dangerous. Well, yeah. If you're going to shoot a propane tank with a 38, you're going to have a problem. But today, propane, they have a thing called a two-stage regulator. If you look coming out of your propane tank, the regulator will have a small cylinder, a round diaphragm, and a large diaphragm. Now, earlier ones only had a single diaphragm. This second diaphragm is here that if the system is breached, if it flows too fast, this shuts it off. Okay? So if you have a two-stage regulator, propane is very, very safe. Okay? They've used propane on the roads, you know, I mean, the dinosaurs and all that stuff, you know, gas, right? And they make good propane operating refrigerators. Yeah, you can get cold with heat. Amazing. Very, very efficient. I mean, there's something about being in the middle of nowhere and all you're hearing is the crickets in your head, and you go in your motorhome and there's a cold beer. That's awesome. Absorption refrigerators below 6.6 cubic feet are very nice, very efficient, work real well. They're about $1,200, $1,300. And you need to have a fire suppression system in case something does happen, but it's very efficient. A grill, propane grill. We have propane. I've seen some of the coaches come in here with the propane stovetop and an oven. Oven still had the instructions in it. Nobody ever used it. We don't cook turkeys on the road anymore, you know. But you know, for decades we've used propane to cook with. So in a motorhome, having propane in the kitchen is a good deal. Also, propane to heat. You can be in the middle of where you shouldn't be and be warm if you have a propane furnace. Okay? So don't just blow off propane. One of the things we do about propane, we get rid of the big tank. Because if you have one of the single big tanks, you have to bring the motorhome to the gas. Okay? Think about it like a boat. You can't haul the boat and take it to the propane place. So what they do on boats, they have the small barbecue grill tanks that you can exchange places. And they have an auto switcher that will, you purge the line, you have two tanks in there, and it's on this one, it's purged. So as it uses it, it gets to a certain pressure, it switches over to the other one. And you didn't have to lose the prime on the system or anything. Now you take this tank out, put a new one in, then when this one gets down, boom, it goes to the other one, take that one out, put it in. You can bring the propane to your motorhome rather than taking the motorhome to the propane. Plus, two of those propane tanks and the switcher is about 2/3 the size of that big old little boy. So if you do that, it turns your propane energy source more convenient, okay, and it updates it where you can use it better. So propane works really well on a motorhome. We've had people come in, I don't want propane, I'm scared of it. I understand. If you're scared of it, not a problem. But as many people as have it, and as long as it's been used, it's pretty safe. With a two-stage regulator, you know, that takes care of your heat, it takes care of your cooking, it takes care of your refrigerator. Okay, we don't have any air conditioners yet that do that, but very, very good energy source if you update it to some new technologies. All right, so energy in your motorhome basically comes from three devices, three circuits, and we want to have each one of these. You can do without propane, but you're going to have to either have a DC or AC to supplement. Okay, so just depends on how you want to do it. I've seen some really fantastic units that had no propane. I had a guy came in here with no alternator on his engine. What? Yeah, he used solar. The daggum thing charged his batteries, did everything. Engine ran on solar, the electrical system. Pretty cool. He had a row of solar panels lifted off the roof of his coach about 12 inches, front to back. It looked like a glider or something. That was crazy. But it worked. He went cross country. He was living in the thing with it. So, you know, in his situation, he did this. Is that the way I would do it? Well, I don't know. You know, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids looking motorhome's not exactly what I wanted, but so if you have any questions about this, now, yes, I didn't get into the weeds about this. I want to introduce you and get your thought going, get your juices going about how to attack the way you want your system. Okay? So if you have other questions, give me a call or get on the internet, man. There's stuff all over the place. Just go to Google and say DC circuits. It'd be scare you. Your phone would blow up. Okay? All right. Well, look, thanks for the time and thanks for being a ranch hand. If you want to do that, you want to support us with our open source video database, please do so. And we'll see you next time.